It's Rifftober, week 2. Welcome back. In case you missed it, Rifftober is 31 days of spooky riffs. We're learning one every day in October. So far, we've had Satan's Pilgrims, we've had the Monsters TV theme, we've had Strychnine by the Sonics, also done by the Cramps. We've had John Carpenter's Halloween. And we've had Black Sabbath. So each of these have been released on YouTube Shorts, on Instagram and TikTok. The vertical videos have the rolling tabs, so you can play along like that. Or if you want to get the 13-page Death Ray Cats Rifftober, you can head to the Patreon and become a member, or you can just buy it outright for 13 English pounds, which is about $17.50 in USD. So you do the math, £1 per page, pretty cool. If you miss week 1, the link for that will be in the description below. By the way, if you like this stripy stuff, check out Slackjaw. There's a 15% off code in the description below. You're welcome. So, 8th of Rifftober, I'm going to do an X-Ray Cat Trio track, which is my own band. It's called WolfCop, and it's pretty simple. Let's talk about tone. I've always got some slap back on there, and I like to have a bit of tremolo as well for this. We're going to palm mutes, like that. So you'll have the tabs for this, but I'm going to play it slow for you. That's your first bit, it's repeated. Up to this point, and then we go for, that's all around the E minor chord, by the way. Then we're gonna play this B7. We're kind of playing each note through that chord. And then back to the riff. And then we end up on an open E there. There's some little extra bits I like to throw in here. So when we go up to the 5th fret, I like to slide up there. So I like to slide up there. And that G note there, it's bent a little bit. Then when we come up to this B7, when I'm playing it live, I like to sort of play that last note in the chord, do a bit of a slide all the way up. Hopefully if you've got some effects on there, it'll make it extra spooky. Sometimes I'll play it up here as well, because you can take that B7 chord, play it up 12 frets up, starting on the 14th fret, and you can do that slide down. There you go. You can do a single note there or a full E minor chord. I've done a full lesson on this WolfCop tune a long time ago. I'll put a link for it below. If you like that sort of thing, we're on tour in the UK throughout October, starting on the 17th. There you go. Bit of shameless self-promotion there. Riff 2, Ghost Riders. In the tab, I tried to do it note for note from the Dwayne Eddy live version, so I'll put a link to that as well. if you don't get the phrasing exactly right, I think it's still going to sound cool. So if you just learn where those notes are, if you listen to the vocal performance, because it's a vocal tune that's been made into an instrumental, that's going to help. Like, this is one where the tabs are going to help. The timing's kind of weird as well. If you're playing it with a band, it's the kind of thing you can let things ring out a little bit. It is a weird one to play along to, just remember that. So if you're playing by yourself or jamming it out a bit, you can let those notes ring out a bit and leave that space going before you move on to the next part. You could just hold that for as long as you want. Hopefully your band's listening. And then when you move to the next bit, when you move to this part, you're going for an F there. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Tabs are going to help, but have a crack at it. It's a fun one. Ghost Riders, by the way, have done a full lesson on this in the style of Dick Dale. So he kind of takes those notes Pet Sematary is the next one. This one's an interesting one. It's basically 3 chord shapes and we're playing mini arpeggios around them. So, let me turn my tremolo off. So for this, tone-wise, I would probably get rid of the slapback and tremolo, maybe just put a bit of gain on. So your first chord there is part of a D minor chord. So if you know your D minor chord, that's where we're going to start. But we're only going to be using the D, the G and the B strings. Well, in fact, we're not, maybe we're not playing the G string either. No, but the chord shapes might help you find where to put your fingers and all that. Then we've got part of the C chord here. But again, we're only using the D, the G and the B string there. And then finally, we've got an F chord, or triad, I guess. And again, just using D, G and B strings. Whoops. So as we move to the second chord shape, we're doing an arpeggio going up and then we come back down to the middle string and then we go to that F shape and then we're doing gradually getting higher. I mean, you could even like strum it out a little bit if you want to play it a bit differently. So there you go, that's how I do it. Let me know if you'd like me to do a full lesson on that later on down the line. It's just chords after that. Next up, something slightly different, Twist of Cain by Danzig. Now, tone-wise, I don't want any slapback or tremolo. You're going to want quite a bit of gain on here, so you can turn your gain up on your amp. I'm using the Quilter, by the way, Quilter Superblock US for my indoor stuff. It's quite good when it's late at night, which it is. I don't want to upset my neighbours. They're not a sponsor, I just thought I'd mention that. Now, I'm not much of a metal guitarist, but this involves something called a pinched harmonic. And I do it in the video. It's really tricky. If you can't do it, don't worry about it. You can just fret the note where it is. So let's go through the riff anyway. So we're starting on the 6th fret of the A string, we're bending. It's the equivalent of 1 fret in pitch. So that bend on the 6th fret, it's kind of the equivalent of if you were playing the 7th fret. You can use that as a little gauge to know if you've bent it enough or too much. Wants to match the 7th fret. Then you're going to play open string and then 6th fret, then 3rd fret, and a couple of opens. Then the next time around, it's the pinched harmonic. Now a lot of people will do it by basically catching the string with your thumb in a particular spot along the string. Now all along the string you're going to have natural harmonics. So on the 12th fret, if you put your finger over the 12th fret real light, that's called a natural harmonic. It just so happens at certain spots where it will make a cool sound. And there's different spots: 5th fret, 3rd fret, 9th fret. Like, I don't know, I don't do this very much. But the artificial harmonic or pinch harmonic, I use my little finger. I don't know if that's correct. I use my little finger. I pick the 7th fret as normal, but my little finger's just touching the string. And you got to find the spot. I'm not doing it now, but I did do it. The video is proof. It's about an inch from that second pickup for me. It might be different for your guitars. And you need a lot of gain, that helps. So anyway, if you can't manage that, don't worry, just fret the string as normal. So then round we go, and then later on it plays it twice on the 7th fret. And we go to the open 3 times at the end there, and then there's this lovely thick power chord up here now. What we're doing is we're playing the 6th fret on the A string and doing a power chord there. We talked about power chords in the last week, I think. Now, what you can do to add a bit of meat to that is flatten your first finger down so it's getting a string below. So it's the 5th note. It just sounds nice and meaty compared to... So... That's a really fun riff to do. So all you surf rockabilly guys, just have a go turning your gain up and it's just dead fun. Oh, there it was. So yeah, that's difficult, but have a go anyway. Here's one I did earlier, Surfin' Spooks I did a few years ago, or maybe last year. It's by a band called the Ghastly Ones. They're in this list 3 times because they're probably one of the spookiest surf bands around. I'm just going to tune up a little bit here. Now for this one, I'm going to stick on my Dan Electro Spring King Jr. for that surfy drip. Yeah, we love it. Okay, turn the gain down a bit because we want it fairly clean apart from the drippiness. So this is a 12-bar blues progression essentially, starting on the E, and we're going to be playing this surf riff. I'll do it real slow. E string twice, then 3rd fret on the E twice. Now we're going to go 1st finger, 1st fret on the A string once, then 2nd fret. We're going to leave that finger flattened down and pick the D string, 2nd fret there, and then back to the 2nd fret on the A string. So I'll play it real slow. That 1st finger's doing a lot of the heavy lifting there because we're using that double stop to save moving around with your left hand because you haven't got time. So once you've got that, we play it a few times and do the same on the A string. Go back to the E string. Now on the 12-bar blues you would go to the B here, which we're going to do, but But instead of like a chord or repeating that pattern, we're going to do a little chromatic thing. So that is 2 frets on the 2nd fret, then the 5th, then 4th, then 3rd. So there's your B chord. Now we're going to do the same for A. That's an open A, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret. Back to your first little lick. And then we're going to finish with a little turnaround on B, just a little power chord. Okay, so full video for that lesson is available. I'll put that in the link. Next up, we've got more sonics. This is The Witch. I've done a lesson for this quite recently. Again, I'll put a link for that. If you watched last week on the Rifftober video I did, we looked at this chord. It's kind of like a power chord with the major 3rd added there. So we'll go through that again. So power chord starting on the 3rd fret of the E string, ring finger on the 5th fret of the A string, little finger on the 5th fret of the D string. There's a power chord. We're going to add your middle finger onto the 4th fret of the G string. There we go. As you like, little, almost a bar chord, almost a power chord, but it's got the major there. Used a lot in your garage punk kind of thing, which we're a fan of on this channel. So The Witch, again, it's another 12-bar blues progression with a cheeky little bit at the end. So here's a riff starting on the 3rd fret. 2 on the 3rd fret, 2 on the 4th fret, and then 1 on the 3rd fret. And that's going to be your pattern. Now we could play up on the 8th fret if we didn't want to learn any more chords, but I think we're playing it over here when I've watched live videos and using my ears. So this is kind of like a power chord again, same. But this time the major 3rd, because of that pesky B string, is going to be on the 5th fret. So what I do is flatten out my ring finger like that. And you do the same pattern. You can use your little finger as well. Whatever. You could just do all of this with power chords. That's acceptable too. Doesn't sound as accurate though. So you got your G. Twice, maybe 3 times, depending on where you are. Then up to the C, back to G. Then we're going to do the same, but on D. You can either do that shape on the A string up 2 frets, or you could do the original mini bar chord up on the 10th fret of the E string. So this is where we're up to. I love that. It's like a little cheeky, I don't know what you call that. We go up to the 6th fret after we do the original lick. And then it repeats. Like I say, I've done a full lesson for that. That'll be down below. Next up, this is day number 14. I've mentioned the Ghastly Ones before. This time they teamed up with Rob Zombie with a track called Halloween. It's particularly special. I've done a lesson on this before. I'm just going to show you a part of it for Rifftober. It's based around the power chord shape. We're starting on the 4th fret of the E string. We're doing four hits there. Then we're going to go up to the 6th fret of the A string. Four hits there. 5th fret, same again. Then 4th fret. Then back to the 4th fret on the E string. And we got a nice little chromatic thing again. So we've got 6, 5, 4. Then 5th fret on the E string. Back to the 4th fret on the E string. I'll play it slowly. Then we've got a big minor bar chord. So if you remember, we were looking at a major bar chord earlier. With your middle finger down there, we get rid of that. We get rid of that finger and we expose on the G string that note there, which makes it minor. I'm going to put on my nice drippy reverb for this. I forgot. So I'll play it slowly. It repeats that a few times. Then it does some bar chord stuff. We got the minor on the E string. It's a G sharp or A flat, depending on which way you look at it. Then we go up to the 4th fret on the string above and do that A minor shape bar chord. So you take an A minor and just move it 1, 2, 3, 4 frets up, 1st finger down to create the bar. Now we've got a C sharp or D flat minor bar chord. It sounds more confusing than it is. Once you get these shapes under your belt, you'll see them used a lot everywhere and you'll start to love them. So there you go. There's Halloween by the Ghastly Ones and Rob Zombie, and that is the last one out of this week's Rifftober. All I got to say is don't forget to check out the Slackjaw link. Come and see X-Ray Cat Trio on tour in the UK. Get the PDF from the Death Ray Cat Patreon. I'd love to see people having a go at these. If you film yourself doing it, throw it up on your stories or wherever and tag Death Ray Cat and I'll share it if I can see it. And I will see you next week with 7 more spooky Halloween riffs.